Study 8 weeks ago, one rule is game. I'm the boss, yeah. I'll take fame with my fantasy team. Gonna rise to the top, no one can stop me. Gonna make them drop.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to 38 Weeks Ago, your weekly podcast about fantasy football. I am your host, Nash, and let's get into it. The game week is finally done. Oh my goodness. That feels like the longest game week in the world. At some point, I was like, wait, there's an FA Cup, there's Champions League, all between one game week. And then, of course, the game week starts tomorrow. So it's like, why? Anywho, let's talk about game week 24. Have 100 points ever felt like they're so little? I got over 100 points and I dropped in the table. I know our league is competitive, but man, you get 100 points and you're dropping. So if you didn't get 100 points, you must even feel worse than I do. I know for many of you who had chosen Mr. Slot as your assistant manager, you must be very happy that red cards don't affect the manager pick. And for those of you who had David Moyes, congratulations, you chose well. And a particular note for those of you who chose Salah, and then for those of you who triple captained him and got yourself a delicious 87 points. Congratulations to you. You were the real MVPs. I was too afraid to do it. And probably that's where everything went wrong. I mean, if Salah is getting you virtually 100 points, no wonder everybody got over 100. And you know that the highest person this week got 201 points. 200. Is that enough emphasis? Okay. So one of the most important things that happened this week was Nottingham Forest recovering and demolishing Brighton 7-0. I mean, 500k people had sold him, and if you were one of those, that must have been painful. Out of nowhere, maybe not so much nowhere, but Everton come out with a 4-0 victory, and then suddenly you're like, why didn't I get one defender? Why didn't I triple up on Everton? A bunch of us were expecting great returns from the man they call Isak. Nothing happened. They were beaten 2-1. Brentford are at home. They have a great home record. They're going to do something. You bring in Bumo. Then what happens? They're beaten 2-0. And at this point, very few people have Son. So it was like an LL. Many people still gambling on Diallo. Crystal Palace looks like a sure bet at home. Nope. Man United get beat. Man City finally get humbled 5-1 by Arsenal. I'm just saying that. It's been a long time coming and it finally arrived. And then when you think you have figured it out, Everton don't lose. They draw. Heartbreak. Last minute goal. 2-2. Slot red card and 2 other red cards. What a game week it was. Their transfer window closed, so some teams look different, especially Aston Villa. It'll be very interesting to see what they look like going forward. What a game week. Looking at the game week, the highest scoring game of the weekend, or rather of the game week, is Nottingham Forest 7, Brighton 0. When they were hammered the weekend before, I wasn't sure how they would respond. And boy, did they respond. 7-0. What's wrong with Brighton? How did they let themselves be beaten 7? Wood had a hat-trick, Gibbs White, Nico Williams and Jota Silva scored. Elanga had a hat-trick of assists, Gibbs White had 2 assists, and Sangare had an assist. This result particularly hurt me because I had the goalkeeper and I had a defender, but then I said, I'm not going to expose myself twice because I remembered the thrashing we got when my goalkeeper and my defender conceded 5. So I was like, at least let me let one of them concede. And now I have 6 points on the bench. I get over 100 points. It's nothing. And these 6 points would have still given me a red arrow, but there would have been something. Everything I complained about Forest in terms of preparation are the same complaints I'd lay down for Brighton. They seemed like they didn't know Nottingham Forest would do what they would do. And they were just beaten. They almost didn't resist. It was, sometimes You can lose, but you can challenge. There was no challenge in this game. The nature of the loss was very worrisome. They were just hammered. They should have known that Forest would be looking to get right. They should have known that Forest have been great this season. They should have had some countermeasures in place. Of course, if you had João Pedro, you were very disappointed. Sells did make 6 saves. So it's not like Forest were just having it all their way. Their defense did its job. Wood got 3 bonus points, Gibbs-White had 2, and Elanga got 1. So I know what this means. Everybody's going to return Wood back to their team. So that was our highest scoring game. Our marquee game was Arsenal 5, Manchester City 1. I'm very happy because Haaland scored and I have him in my team. And then they were hammered. So he was humbled. City were humbled. Like I'd said before, it always felt like Arsenal had been making strides in this fixture. Like they were getting closer and closer and closer. And they finally went over the hill. They've beaten them now. And I believe they can continue beating them. The most convincing Arsenal victory over Manchester City in recent history. Haaland made it 1-1 and then Arsenal had an impressive second half. The goals they scored came from Havertz, Nwaneri, Odegaard, Thomas and Lewis Kelly. So the young boys changing history for Arsenal and their mentality towards this fixture. Havertz had 3 bonus points, Rice had 2 and Thomas Partey had 1. Now, unfortunately, you must have heard by now, Mr. Havertz is injured for the rest of the season. He picked up a hamstring injury in their Dubai training and he is done. So that's unfortunate. And they didn't sign any strikers. Well, it just means more time for the young ones. I can't decide whether Manchester United losing 2-0 or Newcastle losing 2-1 is more disappointing. Let me just pile on Manchester United. Manchester United losing 2-0. No, actually, it is a disappointing, but it's not surprising at this point. They have not had a great season. They're closer to relegation than they are to the top 6. So maybe let me just move. Newcastle 1, Fulham 2. This was the most disappointing game. Newcastle have been in great form. They've just beaten Arsenal. They've been good, but they weren't good enough. Jacob Murphy got a solitary goal for Newcastle, whilst Muniz and Raul Jimenez got the goals for Fulham. Andreas Pereira and Anthony Robinson got the assists for Fulham. Fulham are a tough team to beat, and they have sneaky good players. William is back, so let's see what that holds for them in the future. Yeah, that was a disappointing game. Not because Fulham overperformed, but because Newcastle did. They underperformed. In this double game week, there were 6 clean sheets, so defenders did well. Let's go over the player performances. In goal, the top performers were the double game week goalkeepers. Pickford had 10, Alisson had 10, Sals had 8, Kinski had 7, Jose Sa had 7. When it comes to defenders, if you had Tartowski, you are the real MVP. 17 points. Nico Williams had 12, Munoz had 11, Lacroix had 10, Arnthwaite had 10. When it comes to midfield, of course the Egyptian king leads the way. Best performer of the week, 29 points. Gibbs-White was second with 16 points. Elanga had 13 points. Bellegarde had 11. Rice had 10. McAllister had 10. Aribo had 10. Son had 10. Bowen had 10. As always, or rather, as has been for most of the season, more often than not, midfield is king. When it comes to attackers, Beto leads the way, 21 points at 4.9. Talk about value. 4.9, 21 points. Wood, 17 points. Mateta, 13 points. Havertz, 12 points. Diaye Delap, 9 points. Let's go over some stats. Zabarani, Robinson, Collins and Virgil van Dijk are the only outfield players to play 100% of the minutes. Murphy from Newcastle has the same amount of assists as Palmer, 8. Cunha is outscoring Watkins. Kluivert has the best value in points per million of all midfielders. Amad Diallo is second. Chalobah from Crystal Palace has scored, or rather Chelsea now, has scored as many times this season as Gabriel. Salah is leading all players in bonus points, total points, ownership, goals, assists, influence, threat, ICT, dream team, points per game, and rise, and XG. If you don't have Salah, what are you doing? Flecken has the most saves, but only 8th on goalkeeper points. Robinson has more assists than Trent and Mitchell combined. And by Robinson, I mean the one from Fulham. You all know Robinson. The most FPL all-time points belong to Wayne Rooney, who has 2,338. Lampard is second with 2318, Gerrard with 2044, and in fourth, it's Mo Salah with 2013. Where do you think he will finish? Crystal Palace have kept 4 clean sheets in a row away from Selhurst Park. On this game week in 2021, Southampton lost 9-0, and Bednarek registered one of the worst scores in all time. Somebody had triple captained him, and he got -21. You had that correct, -21. This game week saw a record 2.68 million manager activate their chips. So assistant manager was activated 1.1 million times, triple captain 1.1 million times, wildcard 129,000, free hit 123,000, bench boost 111,000. I was not one of them. Following the Merseyside derby yesterday, it is the 9th Premier League game this season that Mo Salah has both scored and assisted. He is by himself as the record holder of scoring and assisting in a single match at 9. I'm sure by the end of the season it'll be more. If you don't have him in your team, I don't know what to tell you. Last night was the last time Goodison Park will host a Merseyside derby, as they're moving to a new stadium next season. Miles Lewis-Skelly has the best pass success rate in the Premier League this season. Only Owen and Rooney, at 9 goals, have scored more times from a Premier League side aged under 18. When Nwaneri scored for Arsenal against Manchester City, it was a goal which had 36 uninterrupted passes in a move that lasted 1 minute and 54 seconds and involved every Arsenal outfield player. It was the longest passing move leading to a Premier League goal since September 2023. Arsenal haven't lost any of their last 30 Premier League home games when they've been ahead at halftime. Ruben Amorim is the fastest Manchester United manager to lose 5 games. And by that, he did it in 7 games. He's lost 5 home games in 7 home games. David Moyes took 14 games. Ten Hag took 28. Van Gaal took 30. Solskjaer took 31. And Sir Alex took 88. Jose Mourinho and Ralph Rangnick never lost 5 home games. That's impressive. With Brentford losing to Tottenham, it's a big win for Tottenham in that now they are getting away from their relegation rivals. By losing 7 home games this season, this is their most home losses in a single Premier League season. It is tied, so when they lose another one, it will be the new record. Arsenal are now unbeaten in 13 games. Well done. This is their longest unbeaten run under Arteta. The last time they went under such a run, it was when Emery was managing them, and they went 14 games unbeaten. Mo Salah's goals over this game week have taken him over Frank Lampard into 6th place in the top Premier League goal scorers. Anthony Robinson has now got 10 assists for the season, equaling the record for Fulham in any Premier League season. He equals the Fulham legend Steed Malbranc. I don't know if any of you remember him. Mo Salah has now reached 20 Premier League goals this season. It is the 5th time he has done this, and only 3 players have managed 20 goals more times than him. Number 1, Alan Shearer. He has done this 7 times. Sergio Aguero. He has done it 6 times. Harry Kane. He has done it 6 times. And Mo Salah, number 4, 5 times. Doucouré scored very quickly against Leicester. In fact, it was the 4th fastest goal in Premier League history, clocking at 10.18 seconds. It is also the quickest ever scored by a home team in the competition. So the other 3 were away goals. Can you guess who the other 3 are? No? Okay, I'll tell you. At number 3, it's Ledley King, 9.82 seconds. Bradford City versus Spurs. 2000 was the year that this happened. Number 2, Philip Billing, Arsenal versus Bournemouth, 9.11 seconds, March 2023. Number 1, Shane Long, Watford versus Southampton, 7.69 seconds. That's ridiculous. Chris Wood. It turns out Brighton is a team he has scored the most goals against, so he was likely to score in this game. Who knew? Now we know. Just in case you're wondering, Leicester, Wolves, West Ham are the next teams he likes to score goals against. Mo Salah was the most selected player. He was also the most captained player. The most vice captained player was Isak. The top transfers in this game week see Clivert coming in with 525,000. 278,000 are bringing back Wood. 229,000 are bringing in Rodgers. 217 are bringing in Kirkes. 134,000 are bringing in Gakpo. In terms of players out, 367,000 people are removing Gordon. 203 removed Ahmad. 173,000 removed Hall. 153,000 removed Isak. 134,000 removed Trent. The highest points this game week was 201. The average points this game week was 87. In our group, 64% of us got over 100 points. 64% of us, which means more than half of us got over 100 points. Well done to you all. But also, have 100 points ever felt like nothing? So, like I said, the highest points this week were 201, and this person is the manager of a team called FC Boone. So, in goal, Alisson, 10 points. Defense, Saliba, 2 points. Trent, 7 points. Tartowski, 17 points. In the midfield, Elanga, 13 points. De Bruyne, 1 point. Son, 10 points. Gibbs-White, 16 points. Salah triple captain, 87 points. What was the weekly average? 87. By himself, a triple captain of Salah was worth 87 points. Wood, 17 points. Beto, 21 points. Beto, can you believe that? Amazing. 201 points. In our group, the highest points leader, of course, also played their triple captain. And, of course, Salah was their captain. So, starting from the back, Mr. Otio Mondi, manager of Odu. His goalkeeper was Raya, who gave him 3 points. Trent gave him 7. Mikolenko gave him 7. Ola Aina gave him 6. Tarkowski gave him 17. Gordon gave him 1. Palmer gave him 6. Mo Salah gave him 87. Gakpo gave him 7. Wood gave him 17. And Isak gave him 2. That's a really good team. He could have gotten more if Newcastle had just done their job. 160. Well done, sir. That's a great result. Number 2 was Matthew Junior, manager of Junior United, got 151. Brian Rutere was number 3, manager of Morimaya You Never Walk Alone, 148. Ron Cheska, manager of Hapani Biz 2, 146. Suraj Baigane, number 1 squad, 146. And that's the top 5. When it comes to highest change in team value, manager Madagani Kihoro, manager of Grediax, has added 0.4 to his team value. Overall ranker, Murima You Never Walk Alone, has jumped 1 million positions globally. Well done to you, sir, Mr. Brian Rutere. Our league rank riser is none other than Murima You Never Walk Alone. He jumped 34 positions. Keep it up. Highest team value, Suraj Baigane, number 1 squad. His team is valued at 106.9. The most transfers made this week, Don Clinton, number 1, 8 transfers made. Number 2 is Loki Lagrana, 6. Martina Sewe is number 3 with 5, tied with David Bogwa, who has 5 as well. And at number 5, you have Derek Mwangi, Lawrence Agboyapong, Marty Jr., Pep Guardiola, and Victor Nell, all tied with 4. In one of the more painful news, Loki's Juggernauts lost the most points by making his transfer. So he removed Beto, who gave him 21, for Gakpo, who gave him 7, and Kulusevski for Ogechukwu. So of course, it's Beto who did the heavy lifting. So Edmund Gadumbi, Loki's Juggernauts, lost 19 points by making a transfer. If he had done nothing, he would have had those 19 points. And it was tied with Madman Bielsa, who had 19. David Bogwa, negative 17, along with Arnoldinho Arnold, negative 17. And at number 5, we have Kiggs and Dennis Odera, who got negative 16. When it comes to most points on the bench, our leader this week is Moses Moshiri. Team name, Tortured Coaches Department. 31 points on the bench. Would have been a great candidate for triple captaining. For bench boost. They got 113 points and didn't use any of the chips. But on the bench, he had Munoz, who had 11, Raul Jimenez, who had 8, and Nico Williams, who had 12. That would have been perfect use of a bench boost. Vinny McCory, on the other hand, has no excuses. He got 44 points in total, and he had 31 points on the bench. 29 of those points were from Salah. Yeah, this person did not confirm their squad very well. Number 3, you have Suleiman FC, 25 points on the bench. Control Alt Delete, and George Ota and DJ Wish all have 24 points on the bench. The Formidables, managed by David Bogwa, lost the most team value. They lost 0.8 million. Most decrease in rank is Jeremiah Obiri. He dropped 1.5 million positions globally. Wow. In terms of streak of red arrows, Nkunku Pono, managed by Washira Gitahi. This is their 9th week of red arrows. And where I'm going also myself, I might be joining him soon. The least points this week, in a week where 64% of us have gotten over 100 points. So Gift Choni, managed by Gift Omulangi, gets 22 points. Come on, 22. So of course this person doesn't have Salah. Because Salah got 29. So let's see. In goal, Raya, 3 points. Saliba, 2 points. Akanji, 0 points. Delict, 1 point. Bruno Fernandes, 1. Saka, 0. Kudus, 2. Longstaff, 0. Ivan Toney. Wow, Ivan Toney. I guess that says everything. Watkins, 1. Haaland, captain. So you're telling me he got 22 points with Haaland as captain, and those 12 of them are his. So everybody else contributed 10. That's a painful, painful week. Freddie Faris got 30. Jeremiah Obiri got 30. No wonder they dropped so much. Pablo Sanjeev got 34. And at number 5, we have Dennis Mutua, who got 37 points. Guys, I don't even know what to tell you. But there's no recovering from this. Well, there's a double game week, so unless you make the right moves for this double game week. But I don't know, catching up is going to be very difficult now. The lowest team value is Malik United, 96.5 million. Wow. Tatiana Mislenovic dropped 34 positions in our league. Pole sana. When it comes to good transfer decisions, Mr. Angulanayo Kijana Imama got 26 points from their transfers. Lawrence Agyapong got 22. Charles Osano got 22. Escobar Season got 17. Abdallah Kili, Telvin Mudoga, Sir Carlos Venga, and Thagana Gatheru got 14 points from their transfers. Well done. Kojo Danso is the team that is manager of the ones, is a team with the most goal scorers. He had 9 goal scorers in his team, or rather 9 goals were scored by players on his team. When it comes to captain choices, 173 of us chose Mo Salah as our captain. Number 2, what a drop-off, 17 for Haaland. And then Isak, 16. And then you have Gakpo, 8 people chose him as captain. They thought they were smart, huh? Then you have Wood, 2 people chose him as captain. Not a bad call. Vinny Makori and Collins chose Solanke. I mean, the guy's injured. You guys must be asleep. One person chose Cunha, one person chose Hoyland as usual, one person chose Pedro Porro, Anzigare chose De Bruyne, Kamakawaida, Terence Nigel chose Trent, somebody chose Delap, somebody chose Nicholas Jackson, another one chose Mbomo, another one chose Watkins, and another one chose Havertz. When it comes to streak of green arrows, Vibav Naik has been rising for 13 straight weeks. Well done to you, sir. When it comes to our league table, we have a new number one. Oti Omondi, who got 160 points, jumped all the way up to number one. He is in number one position with 1646 points. Number two is Duboy Original, manager of Duboy FPL. 118, he got 1637. Hamoudi got 128 points, 1632. Yusufa Mokoko got 136 points, 1629. Number 5, Abdallah Kili got 130 points, 1626. Texas Tens, 132 points, 1617. John Mongemi, 130 points, 1607. Walker Dead, 124, 1599. Franklin Nasiema, 139 points, 1597. And at number 10, we have Alan Mushangi, 112, 1594 points. So, as you can see, everybody in the top 10 got over 100 points. In fact, in the top 50, only one person got below 92 points. 47 people got over 100 points. Only one got 92 and the other one got 92. So our league is very competitive and it was very tight at the top. So between number 1 and number 2, we have 9 points. Between number 2 and number 3, we have 5 points. Between number 3 and number 4, we have 3 points. Between number 4 and number 5, we have 3 points. Between number 5 and number 9, number 5 and number 6, we have 9 points. Between number 6 and number 7, we have 10 points. Between number 7 and number 8, we have 8 points. Between number 8 and number 9, we have 2. Between number 9 and number 10, we have 3. Between number 1 and number 10, we have 49 points difference. Between number 1 and number 26 is 100 points. At the bottom of the table, Don Clinton is holding strong with 741 points. Duncan Anzigare is second bottom last with 911 points. Gift Omulangi, who got 22 points, is third from bottom with 986. Fourth from bottom, 233, is Boazogala, 1,000 points. And fifth from bottom is Patrick Kaiser, 1025 points. So that gap between number last and number fifth last is over 200 points. So it's tighter at the top than it is at the bottom. Looking at Gameweek 25, the first thing I must tell you guys, it is a double game week. Aston Villa and Liverpool are playing twice. As you've seen, doubling up on Everton and Liverpool players, and of course if you sprinkled in some Forest players, it was wise to do that. Just to get Liverpool and Everton players was wise. So it will be wise to get Aston Villa and Liverpool players once again. So at least if you've already got your Liverpool players, you don't have to do much work. So starting off, we have the Valentine's kickoff, which will see Chelsea take on Brighton away at Brighton. First thing of note is that Nicholas Jackson is out. So if you have him in your team, remove him. He's out. He's out for a considerable amount of time. Brighton literally beat Chelsea over the weekend. Like 2 days, 2, 3, 4 days ago, they beat them in the FA Cup. So they might have the upper hand. But having said that, in their last 5 fixtures, Chelsea have won the other 4 in the Premier League. I would say if you're looking into Brighton players, I think the first player you should get is Jorginho Ruta. And then after that, maybe Mitoma and Baleba. Because looking at the scores, it seems like one of those 3 has tended to score against Chelsea. Tended. What English is that? Actually, scratch that. Baleba is just listed as injured. So Baleba, Ayari, Steele, Kadioglu, Igor, Estupinian, Milner, Lifa, March are unavailable. Oh, those are many players. Fofana, Slonina, Badiashile, Fofana, Lavia, Guiu, and Nicholas Jackson are injured for Chelsea. So leave Baleba, get Minte. For Chelsea, you know it. Now Nkunku will get playing time. So if you're one of those people who believes in Nkunku, this is his time. He will play. So you have Nkunku, Palmer, Madueke. I wouldn't bother with Chelsea defenders. They haven't kept a clean sheet in 5 games. They're not trusty at the back. Leicester take on Arsenal. Leicester, I think their season is done. I think they're going down. I think, especially after that Everton loss, my faith in them is completely evaporated. Their head-to-head against Arsenal favors Arsenal, especially recently. Arsenal are a team that are unbeaten in 13, and they should continue. Arsenal, however, are facing a bunch of injuries. So, looking at the injuries, Ben White, Saka, Jesus, Martinelli, Havertz, Tomiyasu are unavailable. For Leicester, Sutar, Fatawu, Edouard, Pereira are injured. As you know, Leicester haven't kept a clean sheet, so don't bank on their defenders. Now, looking at Arsenal, I would say at this point, Nwaneri, Lewis Kelly, and Trossard are your best bets for goals. It's tough. They have so many people unavailable, but their midfield will hold strong. So honestly, maybe Odegaard, Nwaneri, and Partey or Rice will be contributors to a goal. And of course, Trossard. On the Leicester end, Vardy, Cordova-Reid, are your best bets. Aston Villa versus Ipswich. This is the game where they need to get the returns. This is the game. Now, unfortunately, the last time these two teams played each other, it was a 2-2 draw with Rodgers and Watkins scoring. Now, Watkins is kind of tricky. His fitness, he's got a bit of a tight hamstring, so it's not clear whether he'll be cleared in time for this game. Konsa, Matikash, Torres, Barkley, and Mings are unavailable. Ogbene, Welton, Chaplin, Smotrich, Burns are unavailable for Ipswich. Now, if you're choosing Ipswich players, it's clear. Delap and Mr. Hutchinson. Aston Villa have made a bunch of changes, so their team isn't the team that you left them with. And therefore, it'll be a bit tricky to predict who will start because you have Rashford, you have Disasi, you have Asensio, you have Marlon. They have strengthened really well. In fact, for me, they're the winners of the transfer window. Now, because of these changes, it'll be hard to know who will play, but I would say go with Rodgers. If you want to gamble on Watkins, I won't stop you. If you want to gamble on Rashford or Asensio, I don't know. But Rodgers, get yourself a defender like Lucadinha, and then maybe gamble on all those two. I don't know. It's quite tricky. It's quite tricky. I wish they had a game. I really wish they had a game before this game week with all these players so that I could see what it looks like. Fulham versus Nottingham Forest. Now, I'm not even going to do much. The first thing to know is Hudson-Odoi is possibly unavailable. He's doubtful. Wilson, Tete, and Reece Nelson are out. Now, this is easy. For Forest, you have Woods, Gibbs, Elanga. That's it. If you're going forward. And if you want to be more risque, you could take the defender of your choice and the goalkeeper. The great thing about Forest is that they're good going forward and good at the back. So you really have options. It's just a matter of, do you want to go all out going forward or do you want to defend? On the Fulham end, Anthony Robinson, he will be Raul Jimenez. That's it. Simple. Man City take on Newcastle. I just watched Man City being beaten by Real Madrid in the Champions League. They just can't concentrate. I don't know. I think Pep, he can't reach them anymore. That's what it feels like. They signed a couple of players over the transfer window, and then the guy who would be the most likely Rodri replacement gets injured on his debut. So he is unavailable. They're playing a really tough Newcastle side. I say tough, but they were also just beaten the other day by Fulham. But since they lost to Fulham, they beat Arsenal in the cup and they won in the other cup as well. So they've come good. Isak, Gordon, Lewis Hall well, maybe not a defender, but Isak, Gordon, and maybe Joe Linton would be the best bets for Newcastle. On the other end of Man City, it's always Haaland, Foden now, and maybe Savinho. And of course, Vardiol, because he just seems to end up in random places. But I don't expect them to keep a clean sheet. In fact, looking at this fixture, it's a sign for me to move on from Lewis Hall. That's where my Aston Villa defender is going to come from. Southampton are taking on Bournemouth. Now, does this mean I'm going to triple captain Kluivert? Not necessarily, but he's definitely going to be in my team. Southampton were good last time they beat the relegation contender in Ipswich, and I think that cemented Ipswich going down. But Southampton have been playing better. I think they will play well and they'll give Bournemouth a challenge, but still lose. Ouattara, Semenyo, Kluivert. And if you feel like they'll keep a clean sheet, choose Kirkes, Zabarani, or Hoysen. On the Southampton end, you got either Aribo, Onwahu, and Sulemana. When it comes to injuries, Downs, Stewart, Fraser, Howard Bellis are unavailable for Southampton. Smith, Scott, Unal, Evanilson, Hill, Araujo, Sinistera, and Senesi are unavailable for Bournemouth. Bournemouth have done so well with so many injuries. Well done to them. West Ham take on Brentford. West Ham were beaten last time by Chelsea, but it was really good to see Bowen back. West Ham recalls Scott Parker, so maybe that will add another dimension to their midfield. Somerville, Alvarez, Todibo, Paqueta, Antonio, Fulkruger out. Henry, Da Silva, Rodriguez, Gomez, and Hickey are out for Brentford. For Brentford, Bumo, Wisa, Shada. Easy. For West Ham, you have to go with Kudus, Bowen, and Soler. Probably in that order. Crystal Palace take on Everton, and these are two teams that are in good form of late. It's a hard one to call. These two teams have been banking on their defense. I honestly wouldn't bet against Everton. Ndiaye got injured in the last game, so be careful with that. Broja, Calvert-Lewin, McNeil, Mangala, Coleman, and Chermiti are doubtful for Everton, while Franca, Ward, Doucouré, Riyadh are unavailable for Crystal Palace. Mateta, Eze, and maybe Munoz are people I'd recommend from Crystal Palace. For Everton, I mean, you can't go wrong with Beto right now. He seems to be benefiting from this move. So Beto, number one. And then Tartowski. Let's see if he can continue his form. And then Doucouré. On Sunday, you will see Liverpool take on Wolves. Wolves won last time out, so they'll be encouraged and be looking to take a victory. That doesn't mean they'll get it. Liverpool have been impressive over the double game week. Salah continues to be king. Just have Salah, have Gakpo, and maybe McAllister. But if you're going the other way around, you can also bank on their defense. Get somebody like Konate, who's cheaper. Or Alisson if you want the goalkeeper. From Wolves, you have Cunha, Bellegarde, and probably Gomez. Liverpool have won 4 of the last 5 encounters and will be favourites for this game. It is a double game week for Liverpool again, so triple up on them. Triple up on them and double on Aston Villa. The marquee game of the week will see Tottenham take on Manchester United. Tottenham signed Matthias Tel, so that should be an interesting signing. Let's see how that goes. Manchester United are in poor form, as they have been for most of the season. But you know that should anything good happen from them, it'll be coming off the feet of Mr. Bruno Fernandes and Amad Diallo. Now, in the last game, they started Mainu as a striker in the Crystal Palace game. I am hoping they don't do that again. Well, they had chances, but I don't know what that will do for the confidence for Højlund and Zexi. In this fixture, there have been 3 victories for Tottenham and 2 draws, so they will be favoured in the last 5 encounters. For Spurs, Son, Kulusevski, and Tel. I'm just going to put Tel in there because I'm sure he'll play. Will be the players to look at. And like I've said on the other end, it's really Bruno Fernandes and Amad Diallo. Brennan Johnson, Romero, Udoji, Solanke, Vicario, Madison, Van der Ven, Dragostin, Werner, and Odegaard are unavailable. For Manchester United, Johnny Evans, Lisandro Martinez, Shaw, who seems to be always injured, and Mount are unavailable for this fixture. Amorim has started so poorly, I'm even worried that he might get sacked before the season ends. So yeah, definitely do not put him as your assistant manager, Chip. And then on Wednesday, you will see Aston Villa take on Liverpool. And at this point, you will already have had your players from each team. Like I said before, Salah, Gakpo, maybe a defender or maybe McAllister. While for Aston Villa, Morgan Rogers, maybe Aaron Ramsey, Watkins. And if you want a defender, maybe Martinez or Disasi. I would say, as you've seen, over 64% of us got 100 points. So double game weeks can really change everything. So take advantage of it. Game week 29 will be a probable blank. So also make hay while the sun shines, because we're going to have a very dire blank game week. When it comes to captain choices, honestly, it should just be Salah. He's playing twice. If not Salah, maybe another Liverpool player, or maybe gamble and get another Aston Villa player. But honestly, he should be the best captain choice for you. Like you saw, even Wood got a hat-trick. But Salah got 29 points and Wood got 17. So there's just something about playing twice that you can do more in 2 games than in 1. So please just use that logic. And then choose who to choose. Maybe not Gakpo, maybe Salah, since he has a proven track record and is having a monster season. Salah. Okay, now that Captain Obvious Salah is out of the way, let me go over some other captain choices. And of course, I say all this assuming health, good health. Brighton, Chelsea, honestly, given Salah, I wouldn't choose a captain from this game, but if for some reason you will, it should be Palmer, even though he hasn't been doing really well. Arsenal versus Leicester, honestly, this game, I don't see a reason you should be choosing a captain from this game. Aston Villa, Ipswich, okay, now there's a game actually worthy of choosing a captain. And here, maybe Morgan Rogers. If you believe Watkins will play, him, Aaron Ramsey. And then it could be Rashford's breakout game. This thing is so messed up. But tried and true, Rogers. That would be the one. He's fit as of today, and we know he will play. Everybody else is guesswork. So he's the strongest. Fulham versus Nottingham Forest. Of course, it has to be Wood. He could just get on the hat-trick. Or you could be guessing and going with Elanga or Morgan Gibbs-White. Man City versus Newcastle, Isak or Haaland. Although still Salah. Bournemouth versus Southampton. Now, here is a game that is tricky. Honestly, if you told me Kluivert will have another hat-trick, I wouldn't doubt you. Or Ouattara or Semenyo. Those are 3 possible captain choices. Not over Salah, but those are still good captain choices. West Ham versus Brentford. No reason to get a captain from here if you have Salah. But if you must, if somehow you've said, no, I don't want Salah. By the way, before anything, I'm imagining that you're saying, oh, I don't want Salah. So for West Ham versus Brentford, you could go with Bowen, Wissa, Ombumo. Crystal Palace versus Everton, Beto or Mateta. Then you have Liverpool versus Wolves, Salah obviously. Or Cunha or Bellegarde. But honestly, if you're not choosing Salah, are you even competing? Spurs versus Man United, Son or Kulusevski. Or Bruno Fernandes or Ahmad. Ahmad tends to show up in big games, so this might be the game he shows up in. And then you have Aston Villa versus Liverpool. Of course, by that time, you would already have chosen Salah or Morgan Rogers. Honestly, guys, Salah is your best captain choice. Looking at the FPL FDR, Arsenal have Leicester, West Ham, Forest, Man United and Chelsea. So it will be increasing in difficult, well, up until the Manchester United game where it will go down. But it's a mixed bag. It's not easy. Aston Villa have Ipswich, Liverpool, Chelsea, Crystal Palace and Brentford. Not easy fixtures, but not unreasonable ones. I believe that they could get maybe 9 points from these games. Bournemouth have Southampton, Wolves, Brighton, Tottenham, Brentford. Honestly, if you told me Bournemouth are going to win all of these games, I would believe you. Brentford have West Ham, Leicester, Everton, Aston Villa and Bournemouth. Reasonable fixtures. They should win some of these. In fact, if not 3 or 5. Brighton have Chelsea, Southampton, Bournemouth, Fulham and Man City. Southampton and Fulham are the most winnable games they have. Well, and Chelsea, since they just beat them. Chelsea have Brighton, Aston Villa, Southampton, Leicester and Arsenal. Reasonable fixtures, all winnable fixtures. Chelsea are in questionable form, so we shall see. Crystal Palace have Everton, Fulham, Aston Villa, Ipswich, and then blank game week. And given their form, they could cause a lot of upsets. They could win all of these games. Everton have Crystal Palace, Man United, Brentford, Wolves, West Ham. Everton are in good hands. I don't think they have to worry about relegation this season, and I believe that they will perform. Fulham have Forest, Palace, Wolves, Brighton, Tottenham. It feels like they're meeting their peers, so these are games that could go either way. Ipswich have Villa, Spurs, Man United, Palace, and Forest. There's no easy thing for Ipswich. I believe that they will lose all of these games, but be competitive. Leicester have Arsenal, Brentford, West Ham, Chelsea, Man United. Tough fixtures as well. Liverpool have Wolves, Aston Villa, Man City, Newcastle, Southampton. Wow, those are not easy fixtures, but they have enough in the tank to beat all of them. They are the best team in England. Man City have Newcastle, Liverpool, Spurs, Forest, Brighton. With Man City, they could win all of these games and lose all of them. I'm not convinced by their form yet. So it's just touch and go. Manchester United have Spurs, Everton, Ipswich, Arsenal, Leicester. These are all losable games. I know, I'm usually saying winnable, but they're all losable. Newcastle have a bit of a tough set of fixtures. They have Man City, Forest, Liverpool, West Ham, and then a blank. I'm going to get off of them. Forest have also a tough set of fixtures. They have Fulham, then they have Newcastle, Arsenal, Man City, and then Ipswich. So I should think of getting off their defenders. That's what it looks like to me. Southampton have Bournemouth, Brighton, Chelsea, Liverpool, Wolves. Southampton are much more competitive under Juric, so they will be competitive, but ultimately I think it's too late for them to change anything. Spurs have Man United, Ipswich, City, Bournemouth, Fulham. 3 games here are totally winnable. The others, I don't think so, but given Spurs who they are, they could probably trounce Man City, then get hammered by Ipswich and Man United, and then beat Bournemouth and Fulham. They're just that unpredictable. West Ham have Brentford, Arsenal, Leicester, Newcastle, Everton. Outside Arsenal, I think these are fixtures in which Mr. Graham Potter could finally get something going because he has been struggling. Wolves are looking to be out of their difficult stretch after the Liverpool game, which is next. After Liverpool, they have Bournemouth, Fulham, Everton, and Southampton. I am not saying these games are easy. Bournemouth are tough, Fulham are tough, Everton now are tough. So if they're not careful, it's just between them and Leicester to decide who's going to get relegated. So if there's one lesson the double game week has taught us is double up when you can double up. It counts. They all count. So double up. The game week starts tomorrow on Friday because today is Thursday. Apart from that, see you on the pitch. The double game week will be shorter than the last one, thankfully. So I'll be talking to you soon. Have a great game week ahead. Bye.